Yes, welcome back. Let's read this one. I'm not getting up my beds. I had a very long hot weekend, so I like to just relax and then take a shower later and watch Star Trek.
Kangaroo route. A Qantas Boeing 787-9 among British Airways aircraft at Heathrow Airport. The Kangaroo route is a term coined by Qantas, referring to the commercial passenger air routes flown between Australia and the United Kingdom via the Eastern Hemisphere. 1. The route has been operated since 1934. 2. But found its name in 1944 from the unique mode of travel of the kangaroo, as the route's hops were reminiscent of a kangaroo's hops, both used to cover long distances. 3. The term is trademarked and traditionally used by Qantas. 4. Although it is often used in the media and by airline competitors to describe all Australia to United Kingdom flights. In addition to Qantas, by 2003, over 20 airlines operated routes connecting Australia and the UK, including Air New Zealand, British Airways, Cathay Pacific, Emirates, Japan Airlines, Lauda Air, Malaysia Airlines, Thai Airways, United Airlines and Singapore Airlines. 5. With most involving a change of plane. As of 2023, only 2 airlines continue offer thruft direct flights, not requiring passengers to change plane en route. British Airways and Qantas. Qantas commenced operating non-stop flights from Perth to London with Boeing 787s on the 25th of March 2018. Thais ended the era of the continents of Europe and Oceania not being connected by non-stop flights, marking the first time that all of the world's continents, excluding Antarctica, are connected by non-stop flights. 6. 7. Origins of the name. Qantas logo for its Kangaroo service used from 1944-1947. 8. Qantas operated the Australian part of the Kangaroo route for 9 years before coining, and later trademarking, the name. After starting airmail operations between Brisbane and Singapore in 1934. 9. Qantas began operating passenger flights connecting Brisbane to Singapore in 1935 following successful awarding of the Australian government's tender. 10. 11. After disruption to the route due to the emerging hostilities of World War II. The connectivity was famously restored by Qantas with its double sunrise service connectivity between Perth and Ceylon on the Indian Ocean route with Catalina flying boats in 1943. 12. With the addition of the land-based Liberator aircraft to the route in 1944, the Indian Ocean route was officially renamed the Kangaroo service. 13, 14, 15, 16. By Qantas Managing Director Hudson Fysh and pilot Bill Crowther, a play on words of the aviation term hop, referring to a leg of a route, and the hop of a kangaroo, an Australian icon. 17. Along with the newly created Qantas logo of the flying kangaroo, the terms kangaroo service and kangaroo route, 18, 19, 20, 21, were trademarked by Qantas and became the airline's branded term to describe Qantas Australia United Kingdom connectivity. 22, 23. A significant milestone in 1947 when Qantas began operating the entire Kangaroo route independently. This April 1947 inauguration is referred to as the birth date of the Kangaroo route by Qantas, even though it had been operating a part of that route for almost a decade. 24. History. Advertisement for the Qantas Singapore service using the de Havilland 86 early years, 1935-1947. A QEA de Havilland 86 at Mount Isa, operating the Kangaroo route circa 1937. a QEA de Havilland 86 at Mount Isa, operating the Kangaroo route circa 1937. The QEA short S-23 Empire flying boat QE, which inaugurated Qantas seaplane-operated Kangaroo route service to Singapore on July 5, 1938. 25. In 1935, Qantas started flying passengers to Singapore in a de Havilland 86 to connect with London-bound Imperial Airways. London to Brisbane service commenced on the 13th of April, 1935. Imperial Airways and Qantas Empire Airways opened the 12,754-mile, 20,526 kilometers, London to Brisbane route for passengers for a single fare £195, equivalent to $19,100 in 2018. There were no through bookings on the first service because of heavy sector bookings, but there were 2 through passengers on the next flight that left London on the 20th of April. The route opened for passengers from Brisbane to London on the 17th of April. Flights were week-client. The journey time was 1212 days. 26. 27. Eastbound passengers from London would first fly from Croydon to Paris, take an overnight train to Brindisi, and fly onward with stops at Athens, Alexandria, overnight, Gaza, Baghdad, overnight, Basra, Kuwait, Bahrain, Sharjah, overnight, Gwadar, Karachi, Jodhpur, overnight, Delhi, Kanpur, Allahabad, Calcutta, overnight, Akyab, Rangoon, Bangkok, overnight, Alor, Singapore, overnight, Batavia, Saudi Arabia, Rambang, overnight, Koepang, Darwin, overnight, Longgrech, overnight, and Charlevel. 28. London Karachi Airways operated by Imperial Airways, Karachi Singapore jointly by Imperial and Indian Transcontinental Airways, and Singapore Brisbane by Qantas. 29. Bork /Qantas landplane flights from Herne Airport in southern England to Sydney began in May 1945, initially via Learmonth, after an Avro-Lancastrian ditched in the Indian Ocean crossing in 1946. The route has shifted back to Singapore. The ABC guide for September 1947 shows 6 flights a week from Sydney to England, 3 Lancastrians that took 77 hours 30 minutes to Heathrow, and 3 flying boats that took 168 hours 55 minutes to Poole. Multiple stops, 1947, 1973. Qantas first flew the Kangaroo route on the 1st of December 1947. A Lockheed Constellation carried 29 passengers and 11 crew from Sydney to London with stops in Darwin, Singapore, Calcutta, Karachi, Cairo, and Tripoli. Passengers stayed overnight in Singapore and Cairo. A return fare was £585, equivalent to $40,100 in 2018, equivalent to 130 weeks average pay. 30. In the 1950s and 1960s, some Qantas Kangaroo routes featured other stops, including Frankfurt, Zurich, Rome, Athens, Beirut, Tehran. The Qantas Super Constellation Southern missed landing at Heathrow Airport in 1955 after operating the Kangaroo route in 9 hops. A Qantas Boeing 707 behind a de Havilland Comet of British Overseas Airways Corporation at Heathrow in 1963, Bombay, and Colombo. 31. 32. In May 1958, the Kangaroo route had 11 westward flights a week. 4 Qantas Super Constellations, 4 BOAC Britannias, and 1 Air India Super Constellation from Sydney to London, 1 KLM Super Constellation Sydney to Amsterdam, and 1 TAI Douglas DC-6B Auckland to Paris. In February 1959, Qantas' fastest Super Constellation took 63 hours 45 minutes Sydney to Heathrow, and Bork S Britannia took 49 hours 25 minutes. Jet flights. Qantas with Boeing 707, started in 1959. In April 1960, the fastest trip from Sydney to London was 34 hours 30 min with 8 stops. In the late 1950s, Qantas had a round-the-world network, flying Australia to Europe westward on the Kangaroo route and eastward on the Southern Cross route, via the Pacific Ocean. 1. In 1964, Qantas started a third route to London via Tahiti, Mexico, and the Caribbean, called the Fiesta route. 33. Qantas dropped its Southern Cross route and Fiesta route in 1975. By 1969, Qantas had 11 Kangaroo route flights a week from Sydney to London, taking 29-32 hours with 5-6 stops each. Borg's 7 to 9 weekly flights previously had 7 stops. In 1971, Qantas added Boeing 747s, reducing the travel time and number of stops. In the late 1970s, flights typically stopped at Singapore and Bahrain. Fares fell, opening air travel to more people with more competition. One-stop flights, 1974-2018. A Qantas Boeing 747-400 over London. A Qantas Airbus A380 at Heathrow. In April 1974, Qantas commenced operating a one-stop service from Perth to London with only one stop in Bombay with Boeing 707s. 34-35. In 1989, Qantas set a world distance record for commercial jets when a Boeing 747-400, the city of Canberra, VHOJA, flew non-stop from London to Sydney in just over 20 hours, with special fuel, 36, and without passengers or cargo. This was the only non-stop flight ever made between both cities for the next 3 decades. 37. As part of a new arrangement with Emirates, from 2013 all Qantas through services to the United Kingdom stopped in Dubai rather than the traditional Singapore stop, and said their Asian services will no longer be a subsidiary of the Kangaroo route. 38. A hub in the middle of a route is more effective than a hub at either end, as connecting traffic more easily fills the plane. 39. Qantas also announced that its service to Frankfurt via Singapore would end in April 2013, leaving London as its only European destination. 40. After years of low demand and less popularity on Dubai services, Qantas announced in August 2017 that the Sydney-Dubai-London A380 service will revert to a Sydney-Singapore-London service due to strong demand in the Asian market. Qantas flights on the traditional Kangaroo route from Sydney to London reverted to a stopover in Singapore instead of Dubai on the 25th of March 2018. 5 years after the change to fly through Dubai, Qantas uses the Airbus A380 on its new flagship route QF1/2 between Sydney and London via Singapore. 41. Non-stop flights, 2018. Qantas selected the A350-1000 for non-stop flights. Non-stop flights from Perth to London commenced in March 2018 with Boeing 787s, 42, with the Kangaroo route becoming a non-stop route for the first time, while also connecting Australia and Europe via a non-stop route for the first time. However, travel time from Sydney, Brisbane or Melbourne is slightly longer than via Singapore, Doha, Abu Dhabi or Dubai. For example, Sydney to London via Perth takes 26 hours, Sydney to London via Doha takes 22 hours. These flights operate out of Perth's Terminal 3 rather than the traditional T1 in order to facilitate seamless transfers from Qantas domestic flights. The non-stop service forms part of Qantas' secondary Kangaroo route QF9/10, between Melbourne and London via Perth. The route also opens up the possibility of further direct flights to Europe from Perth, such as Paris and Frankfurt. In June 2022, Qantas launched a non-stop seasonal service from Perth to Rome. 43. In late March 2020, prior to Qantas cutting all international services due to the COVID-19 pandemic, several repatriation flights were operated by Airbus A380, routed as Sydney-Darwin-London. The Singaporean government had banned transit passengers and airspace in the Middle East was closed, due to the pandemic. 44. This was the first time an Airbus A380 flew non-stop between Europe and Oceania. In November 2021, Qantas resumed non-stop Kangaroo route flights, this time from Darwin to London. 45. Before resuming the non-stop route between Perth and London in May 2022 following the reopening of Western Australia for international travel. 46. Qantas' evolution of the Kangaroo route. Since its founding in 1935, Qantas has evolved the Kangaroo route over time in terms of hops, routings, duration, and aircraft used. Illustrated in the below table are snapshots of that ongoing evolution over the years. Year, number of stops, total duration of route, from via to, aircraft and operator, passengers 193538, 47, 48, 49, 12.5 days, 47, 50, 51, 52, 53. Brisbane stops 1 to 17 operated by Qantas Empire Airways. 1. Roma. 2 Charlevel. 3 Blackall. 4 Longreach. 5 Winton. 6 Cloncurry. 7 Mount Isa. 8 Camoil. 9 Brunette Downs. 10 Newcastle Waters. 11 Daly Waters. 12 Darwin. 13 Koepen, Kupen, Indonesia. 14 Rambang, Lombok, Indonesia. 15 Surabaya, Indonesia. 16 Batavia, Jakarta, Indonesia. 17 Singapore. Stops 18 to 27 operated by Indian Transcontinental Airways. 18 Alaseta, Kedah, Malaysia. 19 Bangkok. 20 Rangoon, Yangon. 21 Akyab, Sitwe. 22 Calcutta, Kolkata. 23 Allahabad. 24 Kanpur, Kanpur. 25 Delhi. 26 Jodhpur. 27 Karachi. Stops 28 to 38 operated by Imperial Airways. 28 Gwadar. 29 Sharjah, UAE. 30 Bahrain. 31 Basra. 32 Baghdad. 33 Gaza, Palestine, Tel Aviv, Israel. 34 Alexandria. 35 Athens. 36 Crete. 37 Brindisi. 38 Paris via train. Croydon, then train to London, de Havilland. 86, Qantas Empire Airways. 54, 55, Armstrong Whitworth Atalanta, Indian Transcontinental Airways, Handley Page H.P. 42 Hannibal, Imperial Airways, Handley Page H.P. 45 Heracles, Imperial Airways. 56, 9, 54, 193741, 53, 48, 12.5 days, 57, Brisbane stops 1 to 18 operated by Qantas Empire Airways. 1. Roma. 2 Charlevel. 3 Blackall. 4 Longreach. 5 Winton. 6 Cloncurry. 7 Mount Isa. 8 Camoil. 9 Avon Downs. 10 Newcastle Waters. De Havilland. 86, Qantas Empire Airways, Armstrong Whitworth Atalanta, Indian Transcontinental Airways, Handley Page H.P. 42 Hannibal, Imperial Airways, Handley Page H.P. 45 Heracles, Imperial Airways, 9. 11 Daily Waters. 12 Catherine. 13 Darwin. 14 Koepan, Kupan, Indonesia.